Okay, good midday. I'm a little behind schedule today, but we're getting it in. We got a lot to talk about. We'll move on. We've got temperatures today that'll be warmer than yesterday, back into the 90s in some of the inland bay valleys. That will be awesome. We have, I'm going to talk about Celsius, centigrade, metric system, and why the hell don't we use it? We were going to, remember? I'm going to look at the fire weather watch in Northern California. We've got the Canadian smoke to talk about, sort of an interesting development on that. The Canadian plate up and around Saskatchewan has been inundated with smoke and flames, so we'll talk a little bit about what's going on politically with that. Stratovolcano, next time you go by Mount Shasta, you'll know what it is. Well, you already know what it is, a volcano. It's an active volcano. It's an awesome volcano, but it's also something else. Coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco. No, Mark Twain did not say that. That comes up a lot, doesn't it? It's one of those things where, hold on. It's like, sorry about the slurp. It's one of those things like when people come visit San Francisco and they call it Frisco, or they call it's the same guy who calls it Frisco or San Fran is the same guy who says the coldest winter I ever, or coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco, which is sort of interesting. I mean, it is true, but Mark Twain was dead by the time whoever said it, and no one can really trace it back to anybody in particular. So yeah, pretty interesting. And then the other thing I was thinking about this morning too, before we get to weather, the idea that Frisco, San Fran, Cali, all those nicknames, and it's always somebody from somewhere else. And I do the same thing. When I go to New York, I say the things that, but locals in California, San Fran doesn't cut it, right? Especially if you go out in the avenues and start talking like that. You see, it does not work. But the municipality of San Francisco, and I don't know if it was the state or the city, but back in 1973 or 2, I can't remember when it was. I could look it up, I guess. But they switched the road signs in coming into San Francisco because San Francisco takes up a lot of real estate on a sign. This actually happened. And for a series of weeks and months, they came in with and put Frisco. I kid you not. Kind of down by the ballpark. I remember specifically the one that was going into San Francisco. It might have been the city that did it because San Francisco takes up a lot of real estate. So Frisco, right? We'll just nail it down. It's an awesome nickname, I guess, somebody thought. And people freaked out. It's like when they got rid of the foghorns. People freaked out. And that actually happened. That is an occurrence. Okay, so let's see what else we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the smoke. We're going to talk about, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's get to this low pressure center. Here it is. This is the reason for the little bit of a warm up. The little bit of a warm up is coming because this low has migrated a little bit to the west and let the high build in here and a little high build in here. And so we're getting warm again. Temperature in Redding today could go 100 degrees. That's the first time in a while. If we look at the temperatures under this dome, this heat dome, over 150 million people under a heat warning or heat advisory. That is devastating. That is brutal. And we will go look live at some of the temperatures and dew points and relative humidities in this zone and find that the feels like temperature is absolutely unbearable. I would shrivel up and die if I was in 90-degree heat with 60% humidity. I just would. Not just because I'm crinkly now, but even when I was 18, that would have kicked my behind. So it's hard on people. It's actually not a joke because this is the thing we talk about heat all the time here because it's the one. Heat's the one. Then you know what the next one is? I think it's air quality because you can't really pin anything to it, right? But people with pre-existing conditions and respiratory conditions like let's say you're up in Minnesota right now where there's an air quality alert for the Canadian wildfires, it impacts you. And if you die of a heart attack, it's not like, oh, he died of air quality and from breathing particulate matter, died from a heart attack. But did he? I'm not to be intriguing or not to create intrigue, but it is sort of an interesting thing. I'm sure you've thought about it as well. Here is our, here is our fog along the coast, burned off pretty quickly. You can see it here. A lot of fog is burned off very quickly. Fog up in Northern California, but clearing at Cape Mendocino. No smoke. A lot of smoke from the Grand Canyon fire. Look at it, drifting up into New Mexico or up into, Utah and Wyoming, Montana. and some clearing down Southern California. So not a bad setup at all today. It's warmer by a few degrees. The live camera shot, this is a good shot. This is the one we've been doing every morning. It's just a different angle. This is starts off Mount Tam. It stays on Mount Tam, but we're facing towards the south. So we're looking at Half Moon Bay, San Francisco, and then we're looking at the fog, shallow marine layer. We're looking back towards, that's Mount Diablo. And you just saw two different shots. And what I wanted you to see there was shallow marine layer, doesn't get very far inland, not going to cool off Mount Diablo, not going to really have a huge cooling effect on Sacramento. So instead of 80s and low 90s, Sacramento's back into the 90s and mid 90s and upper 90s, and could see a 100-degree reading here sometime soon. We'll see. Not today though. The inversion is shallow. We've picked that out already. And you can see right here, very shallow inversion. And that's about 1,200 feet. Last night, it was up to about 1,400 feet. And then tonight, or right now, it's right here. This is today. This is all the way to yesterday. This map reads from left to right in terms of this is what already happened. Sorry. And then this is what's happening now. Inversion, about 1,100 feet deep. So that tells you you're going to have a pretty warm day or a warmer day today. These are the forecast highs for today. 100 degrees in Redding. Fire weather watch up in these northern parts of the state for potential thunderstorms. And just a nice day. We can go take a look at tomorrow. So let's look at tomorrow's highs. So a little bit cooler, actually. So we're doing this. It's just roller coaster, and it's been the ideal weather pattern, blah-de-blah-de-blah, for fire and air quality for us. And it's been an awesome summer. Unless you got a beach house in the Sunset District of San Francisco and go, I'm going to be hanging at the beach every day. Or you got a beach house. Even Stetson Beach is they're getting some clearing, but there's, it's been foggy. It's just been foggy. It's been 2 or 3 decades since we've seen this kind of cool weather, and we'll quantify it when all's said and done at some point. Here is the Sundial Bridge. I like it because today is going to be 100 degrees in Redding. Sundial Bridge right there, and you can see it's plexiglass on the floor, so you can see through it. Sacramento River here, and people dressed. I like it. In the old days, I used to go to the videos before we had the internet. I would go to videos from the field photographers, where they'd be in Livermore or Concord, and I would kind of look at how people were dressed. You can tell everything you need to know. Don't got many people in this shot, but you can tell what 100 degrees looks like based on how fast people are walking, what they're wearing, if they got hats, blah blah. Like here comes this dude's got the golf cart. Have you noticed a proliferation of golf carts? I have. Like, just feels like my world is inundated with golf carts these days. I don't have a golf cart, but people in my neighborhood have golf carts. People in other neighborhoods have golf carts. I see golf carts on the trail. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. Okay. Here is the forecast model, the GFS. I'm going to back it down. And what we're looking for is some kind of a change. And the biggest change we've seen is this low has drifted a little bit and weakened. High pressure is building in here. High pressure is building out from the southwest and is trying to warm us. That's what's happening today, but you still see scud coming through the yellows and the reds coming through our area, even though the ridge is trying to pop up there. See it trying to pop up, but they just keep bumping it down. This parent low keeps delivering pulses that keep pressing the high and minimizing it or diluting it. And right here, you see the Pacific high out here or the Four Corners high trying to build. It's really trying, and it starts, so you get a ridge here, you get the Four Corners high building in here, high trying to build in here, and in between, you get this scud, or just this vorticity in this case, which is going to create and weaken that high pressure. If this isn't here, this little area, this little spinner area right here, if that's not there, temperatures are hot. They're really hot. This is August 9th. It's a ways off, I know, but I'm just looking for the next big heat, because that's a big ridge. But again, this is a heat wave if that stuff isn't in there. If you get these lows out of the way, like this is a big high, this is a big high. These lows are still in close proximity. That's going to change. That's the model saying that, and that's all the way out for a week and a half away. So we'll see. Thunderstorms possible. This is the fire weather watch is for tomorrow, by the way. I should have specified that. So this is this afternoon, and then this is tomorrow right here. And that's your fire weather watch. And that looks like a good opportunity for thunderstorms. So we'll look at the live camera Mount Shasta and tomorrow, and we'll most certainly see buildup. Not early, but we'll see buildup, and we'll see moisture available. So there it is. There's all the heat right under here. So there's Canadian smoke up in here. You can see why it's coming down. See this low? Smoke's being pulled down. This is the upper level winds, but it's working at the surface as well. And so you're seeing, oh, I can draw the jet stream in. I want to do that. I always like doing that. So here's this trough. It's kind of pulling up, so that's a little bit. And then you got this giant ridge. And I guess you kind of trough out here a little bit. So this is a trough. There's a ridge underneath here. So that wasn't my best jet stream depiction. Sometimes it's not always cut and dry, but we are talking about smoke and heat. These are the air quality alerts in the Great Lakes region. I looked at some pictures, some live cameras from Michigan, from the lake, or no, from Chicago, and it's smoky. It's just icky looking. And you can see the heat and warnings, heat advisories. That's over 100 million people under the gun here. And that's the red flag warnings in southern and eastern Oregon and even northern California. This is in preparation for that thunderstorm potential. This is for tomorrow. Today's the 29th. These go in effect tomorrow. This is in effect right now. And so we're looking at, again, these are big deals, really big deals. And so one of the things I like to do is, this is a surface map. This is one of the, I like the visible satellite, as you know, but I also love this. This is showing you, first of all, the colors represent watches and warnings. Updates constantly. I wanted to show you how nasty it is in Memphis. Let's come in close. It'll populate. Let's find, these are temperatures and wind directions. We'll talk about that. I've talked about that before. Maybe you know what's going on there. The ball is like the tip of the arrow, and then this little flag tells you it's 5-knot wind. A long flag would tell you 10 knots, a triangle would say 25 knots. But either way, what we're looking at is 98 degrees. Let's see, where's Memphis? It's 99 in Memphis. So let's get granular. Look at this, 90. So you hit one of these dots and it gives you this readout. 99 degrees, dew point 75 RH, relative humidity 47%. Ouch. Light winds. Ouch. That is as bad as it gets. 99 degrees in Rossville, 56% RH. Oh my God. I literally, like I'm telling you, I couldn't survive out there. And then you got your air quality stuff up in here and in here. We'll take a look at that. So these are the forecast highs for today. And you can roll them into tomorrow for the most part as well. Very, very warm. 88 in Detroit with high humidity. So it's just, you know, a good portion of the country under extreme heat, and that's air quality and heat. I'm not a doctor, but I in all my years in working in television, I have made the anecdotal jump to the heat. Statistically, it impacts, and kills more people than any other weather event. But I think without knowing it, it's killing more people or injuring or causing more problems than we're giving it credit for. And just think back when you're a little kid and you're running around the lawn, jacking around out there in the hose. You're just, it's 105 in Sacramento, which I used to do. I'd run around, and I was like 12 years old, 9 years old, and I'd be just beat. I'd come in the house back, right? And you're impacted by something, right? It's also a dumb little kid, but I'm telling you, if a 9-year-old boy can be impacted by the heat, then what do you do if you're an 80-year-old man? Okay, here's the smoke. Here's the Canadian fires. And you see that low's driving that smoke down, that low we looked at earlier. And it's just busy, man. And the darker oranges represent lessened air quality. We can look directly, that's the smoke. We can look directly at the Great Lakes now. This will take a second to populate, so I'll drink my coffee. I've had a hell of a morning, man. It's been awesome. But I'm kind of got all this stuff I wanted to go over to Mount Tam and get my water. Because I got to make another batch of, make another batch of beer. And I've taken to, if you make beer, you know what I'm talking about. The water's everything, right? Course was right. So I go to the mountain, and there's off Highway 1, there's There's a really good spring, great water. And I use my same recipe. I just change the water out. I do like the McCloud River sometimes. I'll do the pit. I'll do springs if I can find one. If there's a couple up at Mount Shasta. And I'll pull water, like 20 gallons, and then I'll brew my beer, which is 10 gallons. It takes about 20 gallons to make 10 gallons of beer, of water. But it's awesome. So anyway, I was going to do that today, but it ain't happening. I had some issues with my camera. Here is the air quality stuff. So we're, when you're up into the 152s, 191s, this is bad air quality. And one of the things I found I looked into the Canadian fires a little bit. This is the time of year they do have fires. They're kind of managing forests up there. They have a lot of prairie, a lot of open area. And a certain number of lawmakers in I think this was the last week, have gotten together and are complaining to Canada, to their parliament, about you guys are mismanaging your forests, right? So now here's one country talking to another country because your smoke, because the forests are so rife to burn and not cared for, your smoke, or you're letting them burn too much instead of, controlling them and containing them, your smoke is getting into our area, which has a huge impact. And I can't really disagree with that. I mean, it's the same thing with cloud seeding. If you seed a cloud, this happened in California. PG&E was seeding clouds on the west slope of the Sierra Nevada, supposedly, probably, maybe getting a little more rain. But Idaho, or I think it was Idaho, put a lawsuit in place saying, hey, that's water, right? It goes from west to east. That's water that would have been here. So you're taking my water. So that's my big thing with cloud seeding. But this is the same idea. You're doing something one place that's impacting millions of people in another place that may not need to be done. I'm not taking a stance on this either way, because I'm all for managing fires. But that's interesting, right? So yeah, some Republican lawmakers, and I don't know the situation exactly how forests are managed in Canada. I don't know, and nonetheless, we've had a heck of a smoke year here in terms of awesomeness. Here are the fires burning, and it's basically zero. Okay, take a breath. Okay, coming up on Wednesday, that's cool. Swell's coming up, we're going to see that coming up. And this is a 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. I'm just looking at California, about average for where we should be, which is better than where we have been, which is below average. Rainfall, this is the piece, you go, okay, yeah, where's the monsoonal moisture? It's coming into August now. And you start to see late July, August, you start to see monsoonal moisture, and it's been slow to burn. We've had some thunderstorms, and we will see some tonight up in here, but we haven't really seen that much. And one of the reasons I think is this low pressure out here, if you can remember where it is, that big parent low, has moved west a little bit. The high built in here, the high's building in here, and it's this low is here. The low has weakened this high. The low has pushed the monsoonal moisture, or monsoon is just a seasonally shifting wind pattern, has shifted the wind pattern more over New Mexico. Think all the flooding, Texas, New Mexico, think all the flooding we've had, right? Could that be a climate shift? Maybe. It certainly is something to consider, though. This big low that's kept us well below average temperatures has given these guys record heat, but is also, I think, giving these areas extra rain instead of these areas. I know. Everything's connected, man. Okay, so this is surfline.com. We are looking at south swell. It's southern hemisphere, right? So let me see if I can move this up a little bit. Southern hemisphere winter. So that's where the swells are coming from. And right around Friday, the swells start to show up. And these are significant swells. That's some 20-second interval in red, right? So that's, if you're a fisherman, diver, crabber, anything in the ocean, the south swells catch you by surprise. I know it's Grandpa Bill, but it's not coming. Normally it comes from the west or northwest. So you guys, especially the guys, not to bust the valley guys, but a lot of them love to come over and ab drive or do ocean stuff. But they're not, you got to live by the ocean to understand it, or look at the ocean as much as I have over the years to know swell direction is scary. Because you could the rocks could be dry for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden, especially right as the swell starts to build, right about here is where it's most dangerous, because there's some waves that get out ahead of this that are, it's a lake, and then all of a sudden this beast shows up. And it'll just take you off the rocks. Call them rogue waves, freak waves, sneaker sets. Call them what you will, man. But it's a south swell, and south swells are notorious for that. So that comes up on Friday. Santa Cruz, Birds, Mitchell's Cove, working on West Cliff Drive. They're trying to fix up they slid into the ocean recently because of heavy surf and big wind outside. So that's Mitchell's Cove. This is Cardiff Reef in San Diego. Awesome. I love people who got their stuff together at the beach. Like those dudes got their stuff together, right? Just a nice umbrella. I go to the beach, I don't even bring a towel because I'll lose it. So I usually go to the beach with surfboard and wetsuit. Oh, and sometimes a towel to change in. But these guys, they're ballers, man. They probably got hibachis going, microwaves. I mean, there's dudes who know how to do it right. And this looks like a pretty savvy little crowd. All right, that's Cardiff, that's San Diego. Here's Mount Shasta. I'm gonna reload this, sorry. Just because I think it's a little dated. I think I want the freshest picture because I think we're gonna see some of that moisture. Yeah, it's already starting to show up. You know how it gets. So you don't see it in the morning. It's gonna be a nice day. It's gonna be a nice day. We should climb Mount Shasta, and then all of a sudden, right, it starts to build up, and it builds up fairly quickly. Now this is going to be big deal tomorrow because this is where the thunderstorms are expected to show up. But this is sort of the feelers of the moisture plume. Not a lot yet, right? So you can kind of see it. So that's some moisture, but tomorrow that'll be significantly more. Mount Shasta is a stratovolcano, and they're found in subduction zones, Cascadia subduction fault, which is, subduction is the plate, Pacific plate, or in this case the Cascade plate, or the Cocos. I can't remember the name of the plate now. Well, it's Pacific plate and part of the Cascadia plate. Gosh darn it, I forgot the name of the plate. I think it's Juan de Fuca. So the Juan de Fuca plate dives down under the heavier North American plate and bubbles up, and you get volcanoes. Stratovolcanoes are explosive. They have components in the rock and the molten lava, andesite is the main one, that creates a cap that doesn't allow it to flow out like a shield volcano where it just fills out. It kind of goes like Hawaiian volcanoes kind of go like this. In this volcano, subduction zone, same with Iceland and those areas, they explode because that cap acts like just a cap, but the pressure builds up. And that's what happened at Mount St. Helena. So stratovolcanoes. Next time you go by that, tell your friends, yeah, it's a stratovolcano. And they are explosive, and they're steep at the top because of the explosions. Here is a live camera shot. This is down towards Modesto, or Merced, pardon me. I just love that because that's California. I love that. I always think, whenever I see that, I think of John Fremont and those guys walking up and down the state. It must have seemed like a vast, can you imagine being the first guys in there? Or Bidwell, or any of those folks, or Brewer when he came in the 1850s. Here's Laguna Beach, just because Laguna Beach is awesome. One of the more interesting coastal towns, I think. Very interesting town. And then we've got Jellyfish, Monterey Bay. I haven't been to the aquarium in a while. I got to get down there. And if you just watch them long, you know how they're always selling you stuff on your phone that'll say, hey, breathe, calm, whatever the app is. Hell with the app, man. Just watch this for 2 minutes. It's awesome. I said it the other day, but there's something going on with these guys, right? I mean, right? I don't want to be all woo-woo, but I'm like, there's something up there. These are the puffins. They have little teeny wings, which is interesting. Little teeny wings, and they're big and fat and short and stumpy. And they don't fly that good, as you just saw. I mean, they must fly pretty good to survive, but they spend most of their time at sea. Atlantic puffins. Here's a windy Farallon Islands camera. Thank you, whoever's out there adjusting it, because they changed the shot for me. And 500,000 nesting birds out there. It's 500,000, that's a lot. And they don't have predators, so they're able to lay their eggs. I think for a while they had a rat problem because they have to lay their eggs, right? They don't lay their eggs in nests on trees. They lay their eggs on the ground or in crevasses. These are the bears. Oh, he's got one here. They eat like 70 of these at 70 pounds of fish a day. He's, it's funny. These are babies, I think, brown bears.